try and talk fast. It is a privilege and an honor to stand here today on this occasion. I want to thank President Fox in her absence, the esteemed faculty and honorees, alums, parents, friends, and guests for your support of these Ajani graduates today. A special thank you to Reverend Andrea Cornett Scott, who is the reason that so many of us who have donned the Ajani stole on graduation day like these graduates will tomorrow. For those that know you best, Rev, we know this is one of your favorite days of the year. To see these graduates rise above all struggle and don their African attire and Ajani stoles. If this class is anything like my class, I know you cried a little, laughed a lot, cooked a whole lot, and also wondered if you would retire this year. And lastly to you, the Ajani graduates of 2019, for every element of campus that you have touched to make better, I thank you on behalf of my Ajani class of 2006 and all the other classes before you. It is truly my honor to stand before you today. Before I share a few words of advice, I think it's important to understand the story behind your Ajani speaker today, because no one comes to us without their own story. It is pressed and branded upon us, and as you will see in a moment, depends on what we do with it, on how we continue to write and live the story. And if we are really in tune with ourselves, then we can usually pinpoint those turning points in our lives. Today is one of those days for you, but I'm also sure your story begins today, as does mine. You see, my story begins a while before my time here at Mary Baldwin, in a town called Chatham, Virginia, down US 29, a couple of hours south of here. It begins when I was 9 years old, when I sat at my kitchen table completing my homework and a heavy knock came at the door. Standing there were a couple of men in brown uniforms. They were from the sheriff's office and they asked for my mother by name. She stepped outside onto the porch and came back moments later, only to grab her purse and say, "I'll be back." But she didn't come back. Not for 1,825 nights, 5 years later. You see, my mother had been arrested and found guilty on multiple counts of fraud. But this will not be a sad story for you all today, because it's all about how you decide to write your own story. Luckily for me, I have an amazing dad and a praying grandmother. But despite having all of that, people will still try to write your story for you and tell you what you can't do or what you will not do. But let me finish the story for you. So that daughter of that mother would graduate from high school with honors, get accepted to some of the most elite schools, decide to come to Mary Baldwin where wisdom beckons and beauty dwells, and end up graduating Ajani and sitting in the front row, 3 chairs down where you sit. I majored in psychology, so I learned to understand why people do the things they do. Also majored in economics to learn how the nation's economy works. When I was sitting in your seats, I had a plan and was headed off to graduate school where I obtained a master's degree in counseling. You see, I wanted to help kids like me, those who had suffered loss at a young age. However, shortly after graduating, I also began working at a bank. Fast forward 12 years, I'm still at that bank, which happens to be one of the top 5 banks in the country. Over 12 years, I've been promoted 9 times. I'm now a Black female bank executive who manages over $1 billion in assets and makes decisions daily that affects hundreds of associates and hundreds of thousands of customers. One of my primary goals is to help prevent fraud. How is that for a Cinderella story? By now, you may have determined that my overall message to you, Ajani class of 2019, is to be the author of your own story. You have the power to determine how your story will be written, and today I hope to share a few thoughts to hopefully make the writing of that story a little easier. Number 1, say yes. Richard Branson said, if someone offers you an incredible opportunity and you don't know how to do it, say yes anyway and learn how to do it after. I learned early in my career that you say yes to every opportunity, every extra responsibility, every training program, mentorship, course, and more until you've earned the right to say no to some of the things that don't quite fit. You see, saying yes shows that you are motivated, determined, flexible, and a hard worker. Saying yes often gets you into doors and into surroundings with people who can help you later. You may be a little tired trying to balance it all, but it will pay back dividends. Saying yes sometimes comes with sacrifice. You might have to wake up a little earlier or stay a little later. You might have to relocate it. I've done it twice. To this day, I still say yes to things that will elevate me, and people don't even ask me things that I would have said no to in the first place. They just ask somebody else. Number 2, never stop learning. Bishop T.D. Jakes says, the world is a university, and everyone in it is a teacher. Make sure when you wake up in the morning, you go to school. For many of you, this is the step before graduate school. For some, you will be entering the professional world. Regardless, I implore you to keep learning. One thing you have learned while at Mary Baldwin, I am quite sure, is to do your research. If you took a class with Reverend Scott, Dr. Scott, or Dr. Amy Tillerson Brown, I especially know this to be true. Never stop researching. Find your own answers. Wikipedia is not a valid source, and neither is Twitter or Instagram. Continue to learn for the rest of your life. Every year, make a goal for yourself on how many books you will read. Choose at least one to gain knowledge in your professional career. Choose at least one to help with your personal development. Choose one about someone you admire, and choose a couple just for pleasure. That's already 5 books right there. When you continue to learn, you will always have something to say, and you will be the most interesting person in the room. Number 3, protect your assets. Will Rogers says, too many people spend money they earned to buy things they don't want to impress people that they don't like. In my day, they called it balling out. I think my kids would call that clout chasing. Regardless, I would not be a good banker if I didn't tell you to save your money. We live in a debt-ridden society, and far too many of us have to learn the hard way that you must save your money. While it may be fun to ball out every time you get your paycheck, it's not the best thing to do, and it will eventually catch up with you. I recommend downloading a budgeting app on your phone, and remember, you only cheat yourself when you cheat your budget. You must also know that credit cards are a tool for building credit and for emergencies. It is not to spend money you don't have. I'm sure many of us on the terrace today, myself included, can say, been there, done that, and I don't want to go back. Protect your credit. It's hard to build and easy to destroy. Don't co-sign for people, not even your boyfriend. Pay your bills on time. Save for your retirement. Another part of protecting your assets is to protect your reputation. Don't lie, don't spread rumors, don't be cruel. Instead, be kind, help others, and just be a good person. Number 4, get a cheerleading squad. You may be able to survive this world alone, but few are able to thrive without a real cheerleading squad. You need some ride-or-die people around you who will always answer the phone when you call. I was watching an episode of Steve Harvey's talk show a couple of weeks ago when he told an audience member who was struggling with friendship to go to her contact list and put a dot next to the friends who only call when they want something. Then he said, put an asterisk next to the sometimey friends. I know sometimey isn't a word, but you guys know what I mean. They're here on a good day, they're ghost on a bad day. Then he said to put a heart next to the friends who only call with positive stuff. They don't want to need anything from you, they just want to make sure you're okay. Then what he said shocked the audience. He said, now, delete everybody that doesn't have a heart next to their name, because now every time you answer the phone, there will be nothing but encouragement and positive wishes on the other end. I would venture to guess that some strong members of your cheerleading squad are here today, rooting for you and cheering you on. They traveled to Stanton, they're sitting in this hot sun to celebrate you, and they're going to do it all over again tomorrow at commencement. That's the core of your squad. Then you have these Mary Baldwin faculty and honorees who would love to have a lifelong friendship with you if you continue to keep them involved in your life. When you come to campus, stop by and visit, keep them updated, send them an email just to tell them the great things going on in your life. Now you have more members of your squad. You will continue to pick up members along the way through life with future bosses, co-workers, mentors, etc. And don't forget to be a cheerleader in other people's squads. You may not believe it, but we all need it. Even at 35, I have my cheerleading squad in the back who have traveled to be here today. My husband, my kids, family members, and lifelong friends. I'm grateful for my squad, and I try to be a good squad member. I always say yes to anyone who asks for advice or needs a mentor because I know someone did it for me. And this leads to my last point, number 5. Never forget where you come from. The best way to get where you are going is to remember from where you have come. 4 years ago, you stepped onto this campus, not quite sure if this is where you should be. You may have asked questions like, will my roommate like them? Or more importantly, will I like them? Will I make the grades? Will I be able to walk these hills every day? Will I be homesick? Who is this Reverend Scott lady that people keep telling me about? Are the chicken patties really good? Are the sidewalks really heated in the winter and I still have to go to class? What will I major in? Will I get into grad school or have a job when I leave? And look at you. You made it. Not only did you make it, but you have made your impression on Mary Baldwin. You have gained the skills that you need to be a voice in this world and speak with authority in any setting. You have accomplished things that great people you know may not have had the opportunity to do. Every day, I walk my life in hopes that I've made my parents proud, and for my grandmother, a self-made businesswoman with an 8th grade education. She taught me many of the things that I've talked with you about today. So tomorrow, I challenge you, walk with your head held high as you cross the stage, and think of those people, your squad, who helped you get there. Walk for them and walk for you. Then day after tomorrow, continue to make this world great. Say yes, never stop learning, protect your assets, build your squad, and never forget where you come from. And don't forget about Mary Baldwin. There is a generation coming after you that need to hear your stories and understand how you made it from orientation day to today. Remember, it's all about how you write the story. So if a girl from the south side of Chicago, her name is Michelle Obama, could earn 2 Ivy League degrees, become a lawyer and be successful in her own right, and then sit at the right side of the President of the United States, and a girl from Chatham, Virginia, whose mother was incarcerated during her teen years, could graduate from Mary Baldwin and become a bank executive, and that her mother, who is in the audience today, could reform her life and just recently retire from a job that she spent the last 20 years on. Then you, my 2019 Ajani graduates, can truly achieve anything you want. Write your own story.
All right.